Good evening and welcome to Options Standard. It is Wednesday, 9/13/23. Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us here. If you are new, go down to that Options Standard logo. It's the bottom right hand corner and subscribe. And don't forget to like the video. If anything, if you want to help this channel out in any single way, if this information helps your trading or at least analysis, then please consider going down in the description and choosing one of those options to help out. Or at minimum, just like the video. Thanks. Okay, so we're going to go SPY on multiple time frames. We're going to stick to mostly SPY. We may check out a few other things if we have some time at the end, especially the VIX, because I want to show that we're still in that gap. We're starting to go into the gap area, and we'll show that later on in the video. So we have SPY on the monthly time frame. We are looking at the candle action here. This is a possible tweezer top, so we have to see what happens with the rest of the month here. But we're looking for follow through to the downside eventually. This could be an inside month, but we're looking for a downside eventually. We could still have a slight bit more upside to go. I'm not sure that we're going to make any type of new high, but I'm still looking at making a slight new, a further bounce in the market, and I'll show you on the lower time frames. But right now we're in equilibrium. We're inside of this month of what? We're in September, August, and October. Oh my gosh, July. So we had this push up July, and then we had an inside month for August, and we're still inside of the range here in September. So I do think the second half of September should be pretty brutal, but we'll see where we go from here. And let's go down to the weekly time frame. Notice we're still holding above the 8 EMA as well. Now, if I put on some of these indicators, we do have a bullish cross here on the monthly. Well, we are rolling over here in the stochastic. We came into the RSI into overbought territory before reversing. And so if we do eke out some sort of new high, perhaps we get some bearish divergence, or we get our cross here. But not really looking for a new high, but we technically are still in an uptrend from this 8 EMA. So we're watching that closely. Okay, moving to the weekly time frame. Left on the indicators here so we can see what's happening. All right, so we have some of these indicators kind of mapped out. These are lower highs and lower lows. This is what I was talking about, possibly making a lower high here from the all-time highs. All right, we're on top. We are right on top of the 8 EMA. So that's holding price action up so far. This is a inside week. We have 2 weeks ago. We have an inside week. And now we're still inside of last week. So you imagine how tight price action is right now. We have our bearish cross on the weekly. We have a bear signal on the weekly on the RSI. A negative divergence in the RSI. Now notice this trend line. I've had this trend line drawn here for some time. Came down to that trend line, and that's why we have already seen this bounce. It's just it's a matter of whether or not this bounce is over. All right. So far, price is holding. We're still heading northern, still heading up on the stochastic. So I don't see any secondary sell signal yet. Hasn't crossed over. And we're bouncing off of trends. So far, looking good to continue a little bit higher. Let's go down to the daily. Trend is our friend. Now, on this daily time frame, you see this pivot? We've been watching this pivot for some time. We held two of these lows here, making this a very valid pivot. Broke underneath it, just kind of trading around it at this point, but either way, you consider this holding again, holding in a fourth time, holding on to the pivot a fifth time. Let's get a closer look in here. This pivot here, held on to it a fifth time and even a sixth time. So we're holding on to it today. Price stopped right at that 8 EMA and 50 EMA. Can't get over that today. Couldn't get over it yesterday. But, you know, when we were showing yesterday, if I change one of these, I'll change this set here. Go to the study set. We'll put the EMAs on. If you notice if we change to the EMA, it shows just a little bit different story. So we're holding that 20 EMA and we're right on that 8. That's still the same 8 EMA that I use with the simple moving averages, but you know, just to give you a glimpse there. So we're just sideways. These are coming together and we're moving sideways. That's what the moving averages are talking about. The videos from Monday, I believe it was Monday, that said the chop. We're in the chop zone. We saw that we're in equilibrium, that we're forming a triangle. There's not too much advantage when trading. There's not so much of an advantage when you're trading, especially when you're in the middle of a range. But I still consider price holding up. So in my eyes, we're holding this consolidation area. We came down to it, held it along with that pivot, and we're just making a higher low with that pivot again. Now we start breaking underneath today's low, and we are filling out the triangle more. And you'll see the triangle a little bit better on the 65-minute when we get down there. But that will be something to look out for. Let's go ahead and put a few more indicators on. You see that we're still bullish crossover, but it's just neutral. We're right in the 0 zone. We're right here in the 50. It's just holding still. You know, we have this stochastic RSI. It's headed downward, so that's got a little bit of pressure on the downside, but we don't have any momentum in any direction. Okay. And so it looks like this slow stoch is trying to make a higher low, and perhaps it just back tests a little bit higher, gets overbought again, and then starts heading lower. But we do have our sell signals already on the daily time frame, so we do expect prices to go down. We just not ready for it to go down just yet. We might just need just a little bit higher to go. Okay, so on the daily time frame, we're going to leave that alone with we're not going to look at QQQ or anything. It pretty much looks the same. So we're going to go down to the 65. A lot of this information is just being said over and over again because we're in an equilibrium. Okay, we're not moving anywhere. We're moving sideways or chopping back and forth. We mentioned that on Monday. Monday is probably the best video to give you a point of view of which direction we think we can go. If this happens, then this is what happens with price. If this happens, then this scenario is what we're looking at. So go back to the video. I'll pin it up top, and I'll also put it in the end. So that it's super important to see which directions I'm looking at. The ultimate direction is possibly just sideways to fill this out until FOMC. But for now, if we dig in here a little bit closer, we're forming a triangle within a triangle. So we're right at the apex. So it looks like tomorrow, this is going to resolve into a direction. So with the PPI, coming into tomorrow, this should resolve this inner triangle, and we should fill out this triangle just a little bit more. So whether we break to the upside and head to the options expected move in the top of the triangle, I'll be taking off almost all risk at that point. We're still holding calls. We're not holding any shorts. But if we break and gap down, tomorrow with the PPI, it should be a gap. That's what I'm expecting, is a gap up or a gap down. With that gap, if we gap down, I see us coming down to the bottom of the triangle and testing out this gap, maybe even headed to the EMA down here, down low. And you'll see what scenarios play out. Either we bounce off of this and fill out more, or we break this triangle and we head much lower, much faster, because that would be our bear primary scenario. Okay, so why am I holding bullish? Well, if you look at the Elliott wave, we just have a couple different scenarios. First of all, we didn't hit our 62 or 78 yet. We don't have to. We came to the 50. But it just doesn't appear that this is over. We had a 3-wave move. It's possible that this is over from here. But from what I count, we have an A, B, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the way down. So I could count an A, B, and so a 3-wave move down, which would be a B. And now we're starting to make a 1, 2 perhaps setup going to higher prices. So either we hit that 62, which with this 1 being the size of it is, we're probably going directly to 451. But we'll have to see if we have a 5-wave move to the top to end this C wave. It could end here. We start to break out. Our other scenario is that we break out and fill the gap up here. All right, that'd be around that 90% range, the 90% from this top to bottom. I will be taking almost all risk off, depending on what we see structure-wise going into this triangle, because that's a dangerous zone. You have the 786 that plays as a good support, resistance, probably now resistance. It's going to be resistance again. So this is not a place to gamble, or at least go bullish. We will add on some puts, so we'll probably be almost like a straddle at this point. We'll have some individual names. If we see any that should continue with some upside, we'll have those individual names, not any SPY calls, but we'll have some puts at this point. So we'll have the put protection and individual names to the upside. Okay, so if price starts to break out from this downtrend of this triangle, then our scenario becomes this one here, that we're going up to try to fill the gap. We tested it once. Now we want to fill it. Okay, so you see the different scenarios. We got so close to that 62. Now I think if we go higher, that's too short of a distance, that we'll go for the 786 up here in the top of the triangle. So that will be our ABC correction, and then we head lower from there, or we break through and head lower from there. All right. And then the alternative, you'll have to look at the other video, is that we fill out this more, and I go very specific in that video. Okay, this isn't going to be very much longer. We'll go over the VIX. The VIX, what kept us in our calls, this helped us continue our calls, because we expect the VIX to close this gap. So we have support down here. You see that we entered the gap. We tried to get out of it, but was pushed down from the MAs in the top of the gap. So we're still entered into the gap. I think that we continue to move lower here. If price action from the VIX gets to this before SPY breaks out, or if it's starting to get to that 786, or if it's only at the 682, we're going to get out of most of our positions. We do not want to hold long on SPY coming into this sort of support. You have this trendline support and the gap support. Once we hit this gap, I have a good feeling that VIX is going to start moving to the upside. Now, if it makes new lows, then price action, we're probably breaking the triangle to the upside on the market. And I'm not afraid to miss that move. I don't have to be a part of every single move. We'll probably hold some runners on some individual name calls, but we'll definitely have some put protection for those calls. Right now, we don't have put protection on. I don't believe that this is done yet. We took some wonderful profit today on several different names when we popped. So there was some great opportunities out here, especially when you're in an equilibrium. There's individual stocks that are looking to move when the stock market is stuck and it's trying to move up. Sometimes it heads back down and it tries to move up. Well, while it struggles to move up, those other names continue to go up. Or the opposite. I did not get into Netflix, but Netflix was down dramatically today. It was 5%. So whoever was in that was a great move there. Okay, so we're looking at Apple. We are still in Apple calls. Not going well for us. Premium's taking us away. Some of these Apple plays. But we're still holding on to them. And we have some for next week as well. Let's go ahead and go to the 65. So with this move here, this initial move, that's a 5-wave move down. It appears that we either have a 5 or 3 wave here, which the only thing that changes for me at this point, while price is still holding, let's see if we can add a trend line down low here. See if price is holding on to any of this. Okay, so we're holding this trend line down low. Price is getting into it. It's also I'll look at the Elliott wave, but it's also a 90% retracement from the bottom here to the top. So this possibly could just be a flat. We could possibly get an A, B, C, and then the move be over. For this correction, it could be done already, but we hardly retraced any of this move. We could just go to close the gap, or even higher. If you count this as a 5-wave move, or even a 5-3-5, which is still a 3-wave move, you can still get a bigger move. This would be a WXY, where you have a 5-3-5. I can't see it like that, so. Right now, I'm just talking, kind of talking myself through. But if this is a 5-wave move, then we'd want to see a 5-wave move here, a big 3-wave impulsive, a 4 and a 5. But we'd have to get a higher move than this, even if it's slightly higher, because if A equaled C, we'd have just that much room on the upside where we supersede this high there, possibly close a gap and reverse off of this downtrend. So I still think this is possible. I still think Apple, even though it's being denied, it's being rejected from the 8 EMA on the daily time frame, it's still holding. So this could still possibly go to this red box scenario with the back test of this trend line, or even further and just barely get new highs here, close the gap, and hit that downtrend line. NVIDIA is what we talked about yesterday as well. So, two things that we're looking into. Maybe I'll check out RTY. We're 18 minutes into the video. Let's see if we can. NVIDIA is still holding up in this flag formation. Looks like it's just making a higher low. So we had our A, B, C perhaps, and we're looking at a 1-2. And then we should get some sort of impulsive wave 3 into tomorrow. That should bring us up into the options expected move, consolidate a little bit, and move somewhat higher. We'll have to see how this wave 3 looks. If it's pretty massive, then I think we're going to get new highs. Okay, because it's a bull flag. It does look like a 3, an A, B, C, a 3-wave move down, 3-wave up, and a 5-wave move down. That would make it corrective. But all we're playing is a bounce. We're not going to play it any higher than closing this gap here, because this might be just a 1-2 with a very deep retracement, and then a 1-2 set up to much lower. So we want to play the two scenarios where you're a bull or a bear, where we should retrace. All right, that's a winning setup. IWM, the small caps have just been hideous. They've been going against us, but what we see now, we're right into support. Right back into support. This could easily be the end of the correction up here where we have another top. But now it appears that we have our impulsive move down, 5-wave move down. There's two ways we could look at this. It's a 5-wave move down. Now we're getting an A, an expanded B, and then we'll get a C correction, and then head lower. Or, let me just move this trend line a little bit. Okay. Or this is a impulsive wave move up. I mean, so 5, a 3, and then a 5, very similar to Apple, where we just get a slight new high on this, which would probably go into next week. I don't think we have time for any of those to do that. So we'll have to see. Maybe we go into Friday pretty bullish and we follow through on Monday to complete this up here. But all we're looking to do is play just a retracement. Hopefully, probably into the options expected move into the 50-60% retracement. So again, I think if we get some legs underneath us, I think we're able to retrace and use some of those calls. We added some calls here at support. This is also the 200-day moving average that we're at. So it's good support. We also have bullish divergence in the IWM. I'll show you that. So adding on these, we have our bullish divergence right here, making a higher low, while price action's making a lower low. We're oversold. I don't know if that's if we have any divergence, it'd be very slight if we did. We're starting to get that early buy signal on the Stochk RSI. And then we're coming into oversold area where we could bounce off of, since we also have bullish divergence, but it's not going to be confirmed until we get a crossover. You need those lines to cross over to the upside. So again, this is a good setup for IWM. We added on today to IWM. We added on to we started a position in ROKU. I'll give you an example. It's these setups that we look for. You know, all these indicators are here for a reason. We had ROKU with a big move, and even if it appears we're in a 3-way correction, but this looks like a 5-wave move up, impulsive move. A 3-wave correction with the C. It looks like a zigzag to me. A 5, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and completed 5 down here. We're in kind of no man's land, really, with the retracement. So perhaps we go down a little more. We don't have to. So I added one onto this. It looks like a 5-wave move is just about done. And we should get a kind of a move here. Let's see. Right here. Downtrend line. And then this is still heading lower. We have divergence, positive divergence in the RSI. We're starting to get a little cross here. Let's see what happens with this tomorrow. It looks like we might be a little bit early. You know, I was looking at this maybe earlier today. I don't know if I was looking at this. This is not my best setup. I'll put it that way. But it was, I put in the Discord as a casino play. I didn't have a crossover here. We have the histogram going up. We do have positive divergence, but it looks like we're a little early on these plays. It looks like we're a little bit early. So I'm glad I showed you that. I don't always get perfect plays here, but I felt like with small caps about to go up, that this might decide to retrace at minimum some of this move or start heading higher. All right. I think that should do it. I've used up enough of your time. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you want to help this channel out, please feel free to Go down to the description and help out in any way you'd like. And thanks for joining us here at Options Center. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.